Hi, this is Mrs. Nagayama, and this recording will help you with Quiz 1.12. Please review sections 1.11 and 1.12 before taking this quiz. So by now you should have completed the microscope lab. So in that lab you should have reviewed which part of the microscope do certain functions. So for this question on the quiz, it asks which part of the microscope holds the slide. Remember, the slide is what has the specimen that you're looking at. So is it A, B, C, or D? The best answer for this one would be A, and we actually call it a stage. So the stage is what holds the slide in place so that we can look at it through the lens. Alright, so this quiz also goes over how we get energy. So one basic fact is that we all need energy in order to survive. We get our energy from the food that we eat, but we also have to ask the question, where does our food get energy? Remember, the source of all energy is the sun. So the sun is always going to be the starting point. Again, the most important thing you need to know from this slide is that we all need energy to survive. No organism can survive on no energy. So which activity do all living things need to do in order to survive? A, hunt for a mate. B, take in energy. C, reproduce. Or D, carry out photosynthesis. Remember, this is the slide that we just looked at. We all need energy to survive. That is the most crucial thing. So the best answer for this one would be B, to take in energy. But how do we get this energy? So first, plants will absorb the energy from the sun. Remember, the sun is the source of all of our energy. So plants absorb that energy. Then plants will then use that energy in order to make glucose. So we know that glucose is found inside of plants. We actually eat glucose when we eat different plants and animals. And so glucose then goes into our body. We, however, cannot use that glucose as energy. We actually have to use the glucose and make it into ATP, which is a form of energy that we can actually use. ATP is a chemical that we use for energy. So we start at the sun. The plants absorb the sun's energy to make glucose. We eat that glucose and then we turn it back into ATP, which is a chemical that we can use for energy. So in this whole process, we have two different processes that are going on. The first is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis happens mostly in plants, where we take the sun's energy and we make it into glucose. Cellular respiration happens in our bodies. So that's when we eat that glucose, it comes into our body, and we make it into ATP, which is a form of energy that we can actually use. So photosynthesis is the making of glucose. Cellular respiration is us making ATP from glucose so that we can gain energy. So here's a summary of this. The sun provides energy for, in this case, lettuce to grow. Photosynthesis will allow the lettuce to produce glucose from the sun's energy. And once we eat the lettuce, like this really happy girl eating a salad, our bodies will then gain that glucose inside of our body and then make it into ATP, which is a chemical that we can use. So again, it goes from the sun to the lettuce into our bodies and changed into ATP, which we can use for energy. So here's one sample question from quiz 1.12. How does a wolf get energy from the sun? A, it lives outdoors. B, its cells carry out photosynthesis. C, it lives in groups. Or D, it eats animals that eat plants. So how does a wolf get energy? A wolf is very similar to us because it can't make its own energy. It has to actually gain it from another source. So remember here, the wolf will probably eat plants and animals that have glucose in them, and they'll be able to change that glucose back into ATP. So the best answer for this one would be D, it eats animals that eat plants. If you have any other questions for quiz 1.12, please email me for more resources and I'll be more than happy to help you. Remember, if you score below a 60% on this quiz, I highly suggest you to retake the quiz so that you can earn a passing grade.